Kunal, markets today, yes, we saw it touch those new high levels, new year, new high. But after that, it's given up those gains. What should one be reading this and how should one be reading the charts for this?
I think we should be reading this with a very positive bias because, it's not just the Indian markets which are, in full song, but I think the global markets are also quite strong. We've seen what's happened to the, US markets, the European markets, as well as many of the Asian markets which are now heading back towards their multi-month, multi-year highs. So I think in that aspect, it's a very strong uptrend which we've registered across the globe. Now for our markets, I think the good part is so far that the sector churn has been quite favorable. So for example, today, even with one of the key sectors like the auto stocks underperforming a bit, you've seen many of the other sectors participating quite well and offsetting the losses from those particular spaces. Netted, we've seen the metal stocks, commodity themes doing exceptionally well. We've seen many of the stocks coming back to their previous highs, like Hindustan Copper. Tata Steel has made a fresh high for itself. JSW Steel is in line of breaking past above its previous 3-month swing high. So a lot of these counters are looking quite strong and charged up, and that's what I would believe one should look to concentrate on a short-term trading basis.
Okay, but since you're talking about commodities, Kunal, what's the view on gold? That's just trending fresh highs. I think 67,500 was what the level was on M6, so even higher today after the up move. And since we're talking about the global commodities as well, what's the view on Dow? Because that too has been charting new territories.
Well, yes. So I think gold hit 70,000 also. I think on mid-session MCX. So that's a classical uptrending more for gold as an asset class. Silver has also managed to look quite strong. In fact, in the last 15 days or so, silver has also gained more than 6 to 7%. And these are very sharp kind of gains for commodities as an asset class. Now, Dow specifically, when I look at this in the context of the Dow coming closer to that 40,000 mark, I think this could be a very strong indicator because historically we've seen that whenever Dow Jones has managed to cross those psychological levels, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, that's actually resulted into the index going into a multi-year uptrend with least amount of retracement whenever the index has managed to break past about those strong psychological marks. So this potential break of 40,000 is also something to watch out for the Dow.
Right. Okay. Let me welcome on board Naresh as well. Naresh, hi. Afternoon. DLF, Muthoot, Indus Tower, MCX. The broader markets have sprung back into action start of the financial year. Any trend that you're spotting?
So the big trend is the way advanced declines is placed today. 90% of the NSE stocks are in the positive. And we saw a bit of ETF selling in the last 30 minutes, which got totally taken out even on the Nifty. So we've covered that move also. The broader market is giving you an indication that we start off fresh year with a fresh move. Then there are sectoral bets which are coming up. So you're looking at metals, which I've been recommending, and they're hitting new 52-week highs across the board. So there is metals which is doing well. Banking is coming into the radar. If we start seeing ICICI, HDFC Bank take leadership, would be interesting. So overall, good momentum today. We could see follow-up from tomorrow. So overall, a fresh start with a fresh momentum.
With the fresh momentum, that's the view coming in on a lot of these stocks. But auto is one space which is actually underperforming today. The reason is that the performance hasn't been that great. Whether you look at the numbers that are just flashing for you on the screen from Eicher Motors, Tata Motors was a bit of a miss. M&M managed to disappoint the street, and so can be said for Escorts, Kubota as well. So today, of course, all of these stocks are coming under pressure. Nifty Auto, as a result of all of this, has actually moved into the red. Naresh, what's the view on the auto pack? What's the strongest and the weakest looking chart so far?
So in terms of weakness, it could be stocks like Bajaj Auto purely because they've rallied a lot. Tata Motors, there could be some profit booking, but that would still not change the longer term trend. So the strongest ones have been the new breakouts. So earlier we started off with the breakout in Bajaj, then Hero MotoCorp. And now Maruti is the one which has broken out, but has already gone up 20-25%. So out here, Maruti on dips still looks interesting. Contra bet would be to look at Ashok Leyland, which has gone nowhere for the last 1.5 years now. So that could be interesting. And for momentum on Hero MotoCorp could be possible. So in terms of momentum, there could be still upsides for Hero MotoCorp, Maruti on dips, and Ashok Leyland as a contra bet.
Kunal, I'm looking at some of these data points that are coming, and this one is in terms of seasonality for April. When you look at it, like certain names like ICICI Bank, Bajaj Auto, GAIL, those have managed to always gain in the last 5 consecutive April months. They managed to gain. ICICI Bank on the charts, how does that look like? I want to know on that front.
So it's an average kind of a performer. I would not say a class out performer because I think the stock had a breakout potential of 1,000 levels 2 months back. I think January is or end of December is where the stock had broken past about the 1,000 levels. But then in the last 3 months, the movement has been very, very slow for ICICI Bank. It's come back to, I think 1120, 1125 approximately was the high for the stock. Then it came back towards, hitting 1,070 levels and now back again above the 1,100 mark. So when we look at this in the entirety of the last 3 months, 4 months of chart patterns for ICICI Bank, it's been an average kind of a performer. I believe that potentially a breakout above 1120 mark could probably speed up the momentum for the stock price. As of now, I think it's always prudent to try and wait for that breakout if you're a short-term trader. But yeah, from a medium-term, longer-term basis, the stock has been a very strong performer over years. So I think on that basis, maybe the stock can be wanted as a good buy. But purely as a momentum play, I think 1120 is a breakout which I would wait out for.
So Kunal, if someone were to consolidate their holdings within the large cap banks, I mean, it seems like ICICI Bank is a must-have. But HDFC Bank, which has just begun its move, Kotak, which is still sort of sideways, and then of course there have been performers like an Axis, ICICI Bank plus, which would that other stock be?
So I'll go with HDFC Bank, and I will probably look at even Kotak Bank because Aisha, there would be a point when the private sector banks have to start getting into performance. And then you can't have HDFC Bank and Kotak Bank, which have been huge time-wise performers, consolidators, to remain as underperformers for a longer period of time. So whenever that cycle kicks in, whenever that phase or sector churn kicks in, I would believe that Kotak Bank and HDFC Bank could probably stand to gain much more than the current leaders or the price performers from the private sector banking names.
So you'd say